Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here by popular demand with Barenboim's latest Schumann cycle, his third. Is the third time a charm? Well, no, the second time was a charm. He did a fabulous Schumann cycle for Warner. He did a really good one for DG in Chicago. But the second one was with the same orchestra. So what possible reason can there be for doing another Schumann cycle with the same orchestra? The question is, first of all, is Barenboim such a great artist, such a profound figure, such a name now, that anything he does is inherently interesting. Any little dribble of insight or wisdom that wasn't present in the previous version, does it justify this version? Well, hell no, of course not. Is this the same as the previous version? No, not exactly. He did them all in like 2 days. The dates are here. Let's look at this actually, because it's kind of interesting here. Let's take it apart. Yeah, there we go. It says when it was recorded, somewhere around here. Maybe I have it here. No, it's in the back. Let's go through a few things here, because we need to understand some things. Here we go. Recording. Staatskapelle unter den Linden, 9 and 10, 2021. Okay, it wasn't 2 days, it was 2 months. Well, it was at some point in September and October of 2021. That's lovely. Now, so what's the difference between this and his last version with the same orchestra? The differences are essentially that in the middle movements of the symphonies, he's less interventionist. He's more flowing, which is lovely. I mean, Barenboim always did really good Schumann. He did. He's good at this stuff. And his Chicago cycle was quite fine. The remake with this orchestra on Warner was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But he's less heavily inflected in some places, which gives the music a certain naturalness, which is lovely and different. It is different. But, the problem is you can hear those differences in a million other performances where they don't have the deficits that these do. On the deficit side, he gets the inner movements, but some of the outer movements aren't quite as good as they used to be. The finale of the Rhenish, it's a bit of a slog. So is the first movement of the Fourth Symphony. I mean, when that Allegro launches, you expect it to have much more of a surge of energy than Barenboim gives it here. So it's a question of, swings and roundabouts, as they say. I mean, for some things they're better, but yes, okay, it's a little bit different. Is it so different that you need to hear the differences because Barenboim's differences are more important than other people's differences? No, absolutely not. Not unless you're a crazy Barenboim fanatical fan. I can't imagine why you would be, but some people must be. So there you go. However, there is a bigger problem, a much bigger problem. I am reminded of that wonderful, wonderful ancient proverb that I learned as a child. Life is like a fan. It blows and sucks at the same time. Well, that's what I thought of listening to these, because the engineering is horrible. I mean horrible, awful. I have not heard a major production in such bad sound in a very, very long time. It's diffuse. It's clogged. It's gray. It makes the orchestra just sound dreadful. How on earth could this have been approved for release? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And, we need to, they don't have the same engineers. 1 and 2 have one set of engineers. 3 and 4 have another. 1 and 2 are worse than 3 and 4, but they're all terrible. And, we don't really talk about engineering. They're like the power behind the power. The engineers, they don't get a lot of notice. Well, these guys are going to get notice because we need to call them out. They should be fired. They're incompetent. My God. The producer was Friedemann Engelbrecht, and the recording people who did 1 and 2 were Thomas Bösel and Sebastian Natkemper. That's what it looks like for numbers 1 and 2. And Wolfgang Schiefermann, or Schiefermayer, no, Schiefermayer, there we go, Schiefermayer for numbers 3 and 4. And the assistant recording engineers were Jupo Wegner and Jose Rosas. And the edited and mixed person was the guy who did the first 2 symphonies, Thomas Bösel, and then Wolfgang Schiefermayer, who did 3 and 4. They come back. They should all be fired summarily. How could they produce such a dreary, miserable, low-level, dreadful, oh my God, it's just a disgrace. But then somehow this all becomes clear. How does it become clear? Well, it turns out that Deutsche Grammophon doesn't even own this. This was licensed to them by Daniel Barenboim. Daniel Barenboim, Deutsche Grammophon is becoming a vanity label. That's what they are. The performers pay for their own recordings, they produce it, and they finish up the tape, and they hand it to Deutsche Grammophon, and Deutsche Grammophon, witless lemmings that they are, will simply issue it on their label, giving it the yellow stamp of approval. Well, this is yellow like jaundice is yellow. I mean, this is audio hepatitis is what this is. It's disgusting, scabrously bad. I was horrified. I was really horrified. I was so shocked by it, I have to tell you. I'm as you know, in the process of moving, and so I have stereo equipment in various places. And still here in Brooklyn, I have one little setup, and I have another one over in Connecticut, and another third one in the overflow room. I could listen to this all over the place, but I didn't have a chance to do this in different places. So I called my dear friend Christophe Huss at Le Devoir magazine in Montreal, who has a fabulous sound system in his basement. And I said to him, is this just me, or does this just sound like shit? And he said to me, no, you're right. It sounds terrible. It's pretty awful. And it was a shock. It was a complete shock. I mean, this is like, I don't understand. I don't get it. It's total lack of quality control. And that Barenboim permitted this to be released is squarely on him. It's his project. Now, he's, of course, living in some sort of demented bubble. Barenboim himself is in a bad patch right now. I mean, his Brahms was dreary and awful. His piano duo thing with Argerich featuring the Bartok Sonata for 2 pianos and percussion sucks. And he's in a bit of a repertoire blind alley because he always did like the German standards, like this, for example. I mean, that's what he does. And I mean, his last Bruckner cycle was also dreadful and horrible sounding. It was a mess. But the problem with Barenboim is that he doesn't look like he's ripe for some sort of late age epiphany or renewal because he's already done all this stuff more than once, this being his third Schumann cycle. And, when he was doing different repertoire, he was squarely in the atonal avant-garde, Boulez, Carter, those people, that circle, which is now completely uninteresting and passé. And I don't think there's any way he's going to revive that. I don't see him, licensing a lot of that stuff to Deutsche Grammophon, although who knows, maybe he's tried. I have no idea. But, they don't actually tell you who owns the recording, only that Deutsche Grammophon has issued it on license. But it's still, Barenboim is stuck in a rut, doing the same old. And yes, there will always be minuscule differences between one version and the next, because there are always minuscule differences between one version and the next. But let me tell you, if you think you need 3 Barenboim Schumann cycles, then you need help. You really need help. However much Barenboim believes in this music, and he does, and however well he conducts it, and he does, for the most part, this is not only unnecessary, but bad, technically bad, embarrassingly technically bad. Really, it's just unacceptable. Unacceptable. Sorry, folks. So there you go, a complete bow wow of a production, and it's scandalous. And of course, Barenboim, someone needs to slap him around and wake him up, which is never going to happen because he's kind of an arrogant guy from what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I've met him. He was very nice. But essentially, he's got to wake up. If he's going to be doing his own stuff, if he's going to think that everything he does is worthy of release, then he'd better damn well make sure that it meets the highest standards of quality in both engineering and interpretation. I don't think he can do it. So here's the challenge, Mr. Barenboim. Prove me wrong. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.